I've talked a bit about entertainment politics, right? Well, let's talk about when the politics get a bit restrictive. Here are some DC embargoes that messed around with some DC animated shows. Talking animated because I don't have much stake in live action shows. Why is Green Arrow Batman? Anyways, for a start, the Bat embargo. This is debatably the most pervasive, as it affected several shows from Justice League Unlimited, The Batman, a bit of Teen Titans 03. It vaguely pertained to certain Batman characters only appearing a certain amount of times, which is ironic since Batman characters are among the most popular within DC. So okay, you have the Batman show, with every season the embargoes taking effect in some form. Certain characters like Scarecrow, Roz, and Harvey Dent were off limits due to plain usage in the movies. Joker's fine because he's within a certain popularity threshold, which is funny since in Justice League Unlimited they were blocked from using the Joker, so I guess these limits are arbitrary. Also, Joker is really good in the show. Meanwhile, they explicitly introduced Jim Gordon to have synergy with the movies. So great, you guys just make up stuff as you go along. It reminds me of jobs I've had.
Of course. Nurse?
I'm on it.
They also couldn't use Robin until season 4, so they went with Batgirl first, inadvertently leading to various Batman media where Barbara Gordon has much more value put on her than Dick.
Just tell me that one day I'll get to meet the man behind the bat.
Who says I'm a man?
Admittedly, one of the plans they had was to use Scarecrow to be the villain for the zombie episode, which they went with Hugo Strange instead. And this twist works better since Hugo Strange is someone people suspect less with mind control, so maybe there's some upsides for Embargo. Honestly, what annoys me the most within all of this is where is Ethan Bennett and Ellen Yin past season 2? They are two of the show's police officer OCs, and they are basically non-existent past this season. I don't know if it was due more to the embargo. Maybe Ellen Yin's voice actress was too much being Mulan, but they could have recast. Would have been interesting seeing more of Ellen Yin's conflicted nature, or develop more of Ethan Bennett's dynamic beyond one episode. But instead, they are basically gone. It's certainly studio related because it's at the same time Jim Gordon was introduced and the theme song changed. Man, what a mess of a show.
Wowza, that's a splat.
Some good episodes though. Now there's Justice League Unlimited, which also lacked Batman characters. But it is a greater DC show, so it's less distracting. All throughout season 3, there's the Legion of Doom arc, which I can't help but notice there aren't any Batman villains around. But maybe this could be seen as the show trying to give us some new food, so understandable. The finale also works without Joker. Like, we got the world's finest pair, and then Lex, who had a very specific story throughout the season anyway. Probably the more notable omission is the lack of Aquaman, who isn't present past season 1. They were filming some pilot. Which, okay, the League has plenty of members at this point, so I could live without. But they also introduced Black Manta, who they couldn't even call Black Manta, so he's renamed Death Ray. And he's just some a-hole who pinches Wonder Woman and gets tied into the Dead Man story. Though being conflicted between vengeful Black Manta versus caring parent Black Manta, this could be fitting. Also worth noting, Teen Titans 03 just generally doesn't really have any connections to the greater DC universe outside of Teen Titans characters, which is weird considering Teen Titans Go is nothing but DC references. Outside of the Batman and small Aquaman case, there's the Wonder Woman embargo, which is debatably more tragic. I mean, at least with Batman, he is always swamped with rep. Somehow Wonder Woman, her and her characters are prevented to be used in certain cases. And to what point? She didn't even get a movie till 2017, well past her embargo. This varied a bit with Wonder Woman. Of course it affected the Batman show, leading to a pure white male Justice League which makes me feel seen. But really it's her sidekick Wonder Girl who takes the fall. So she's prevented from being used in Teen Titans 03 and early on in Young Justice, which by the time they are open to using her, they just want to have Cassie later in the timeline and mostly focus on main set anyway. So we have two of the most popular pieces of rep for the Teen Titans with no Donna Wonder Girl, which is pretty staggering for the Wonder Woman brand. She didn't even end up appearing in a Wonder Woman movie. Heck, Young Justice made Wonder Woman a mouthpiece against Batman having a sidekick.
I shouldn't be surprised, since you indoctrinated Robin into crime fighting at the ripe old age of 9.
So if anything, all these choices made her feel more closed off. She appeared in Teen Titans Go, I don't know what really happened, but I think she kissed Robin. And in Titans, where she apparently is the worst death, and then credits in a DC AMU movie right before everyone gets killed off in finale. Whew. Past a certain point in 2000s, embargoes generally became less in effect, which is good because it's a more open sandbox for everyone to play with. Getting into comic book shows I've generally been good at, going with the flow and expecting confusion when can. I remember when seeing Mystery of the Batwoman movie, I got fixated on Robin having red pants, when he usually wears some form of green, which I later learned those are usually associated with Dick Grayson, and this is some Tim Jason hybrid. And by Young Justice, I didn't care. Honestly, when people who somehow have better grades than me act purposely confused about like MCU movie rights where Spider-Man couldn't appear earlier on, it's like I'd explain this stuff and they mostly laughed off anyway. Generally, there's just always going to be answering to a studio. They always leave little notes because they are a corporation. The Green Lantern animated series, they were forced to not have any yellow lanterns in season 1, which leads to making mileage of every other lantern, putting spotlight on anger-filled red lanterns, and Sinestro himself had a nice showcase. There's a really recent example of My Adventures with Superman, but there they put a 4D chess move, which subverted the embargo and gave a win to creatives. So there was a Lex embargo. Originally, Lex wasn't meant to be used in the first 2 seasons. Then in season 1, they snuck in a character named Alex, who is just some scientist that worked with Ivo. When the studio executives straight up asked about it, they were like, "Is that Lex?" And the show people were like, "I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't." Then later on, they decided, you know what? You could make him Lex, building up more and straight up naming him in season 2. This works really well and honestly could be seen as an organic, creative choice with a natural progression, especially compared to something like Forgetting Ellen and Ethan. Lex is generally an overused character, and it's nice to see him vaguely be in the background, and then start building up as an underdog story, which already works for Lex's character. Also, it's funny to see him turn to Jimmy Olsen and be like, "Hey, you inspired me." Makes me wish past examples just tried something like this, like have some scientist named John or a girl named Donna. The show currently topped Young Justice in being my favorite DC animated show, flaws and all. There's also another example which is a little more speculative, where they have a female heat wave, and I think she's meant to be Volcana. Like, it's weird to have a gender-bent Flash villain when there's already a female Fire Superman villain. She also does crazy moves which scream more Volcana than heat wave. I didn't even think of this till Volcana was introduced in Harley Quinn. Like, another case of certain shows using a character while the other doesn't. Then again, this isn't really a character I feel strongly about. I mean, she was fun in her Superman animated series episode, and I could see potential, but I can't help but think she's just another character created because the creators were horny. And while having resemblance to Volcana, they also take liberties as they do with a lot of other Superman villains, and at this point I kind of let it slide. Especially after that Lex maneuver. Anyway, these are some DC animated shows affected by the embargo. Are there some you like more, some you're more angry about? Feel free to mention. Anyway, cheers.